Welcome to the WA Property Q&A, the podcast where I explore the ins and outs of buying property in Western Australia. I'm your host, Peter Fletcher, and each week I interview local property experts to help you to develop a deep understanding of the nuances of buying property in WA. From market trends to legal considerations, no topic is off limits. But before we dive in, a friendly reminder. While we provide valuable information, it's important to note that nothing discussed in this podcast should be construed as personal investment advice. Always remember to seek the appropriate professional advice for your specific circumstances. Now, let's get started and unlock the secrets to successful property buying in WA. In all my years of real estate, I've never said to a person, make a cash offer unless they had the cash in the bank. But what I'm hearing you say, the subtext of what is being said here is that, well, if you can buy at auction, which is a cash contract, using a pre-approval, then why couldn't you do the same with an offer and acceptance and just make a cash offer if you knew that your finance was going to be okay?
Good question, Pete. Well, I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to risk.
Yeah.
So some buyers might want to take that risk and do take that risk and put that cash offer down. But as a finance professional, I'd always be educating the customer, to your point, Pete, unless they've got the cash in the bank, the cash offer should not remain or should not be in play.
Yeah, yeah. The issue in this current market is securing the property.
That's right.
So, you've got 2, 3, 5, 10 offers being submitted on the one property at the same time. Well, how do you make your offer stand out amongst that pile of offer and acceptances?
That's a good point, Pete.
Well, okay, I've got a fully assessed pre-approval. Let's say don't use a computer-assessed one, never. But I've got a fully assessed pre-approval. I'm in a strong position. Do you take the risk? So, maybe this is the opportunity where you go, you know what, I'm going to take the punt.
And the risk is just the unknown, I guess. If something reveals itself on that property, I'm trying to think of an example, but
I can give you an
cemetery buried under the house.
Yeah. Holy. Now, in terms of pre-approvals, we come back to the bank's, subject to the bank's usual terms and conditions, and that is, I think one of those is, if it's, the loan to valuation ratio isn't right, they will need lender's mortgage insurance, correct?
Correct.
Am I correct in saying that you can't get LMI on a property close to a high tension power line?
Not out of the realms of possibility, but that comment has weight, generally speaking.
Yes. And also properties that don't have a sealed road in front of them?
Again, same answer.
Country properties have a different,
Yeah.
There's different LMI, different LVR
Yes.
ratios out
Depending on the zoning
there.
of the property and the size of the property can dictate how much leverage you can actually put on that property.
Yes. And also the size of the property, as in, I think 45 square metre units are very hard to get any decent LVRs on.
Yeah, depending on the bank, some set it at 40, some at 35.
40% LVR.
No, 40 square metres, so that's a
40, right.
very small
Yes.
property.
Yeah, but they are around.
They are around.
Yes. So somebody has a finance pre-approval. Let's say they've got a finance pre-approval to $200,000 to buy a unit, and they pitch up, make an offer on a unit thinking that they're good to go, but the unit is too small, and therefore the bank won't lend them the right amount because the unit's too small, and they will only offer them a smaller LVR. Is that correct?
That's correct. It might be a case of having to change a lender, go to another provider that's willing to take that risk. I guess as a finance broker, we've got a lot of lenders on our panel that we can utilise. But if there's no lenders that will, have that within their credit policy, then there's only one route, and that's finance declinal.
Now, Ryan, the question is, finance pre-approvals, they sound good in theory. In this market where it is very competitive, it's not within the realms of possibility where a finance pre-approval could expire.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Finance pre-approvals, how long do they last for?
Generally 90 days.
Generally 90 days. And that's 90 days from the pre-approval date to securing the property, or is it to settlement?
That's a good question, Pete. It depends on the provider.
I like to ask a question without notice, Ryan.
It depends on the provider. Most it'll actually be when you actually submit the application, 90 days from that date. Some do it 90 days from when they actually assess the transaction, which is actually the better way to do it. It's 90 days from the actual letter being provided to say, hey, you're conditionally approved. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the provider.
Okay. Yeah. So point being that there's a time period that these pre-approvals last for.
Yep.
So if somebody makes a full application, gets a finance pre-approval, and it expires, does it affect their credit history?
It does.
It does?
It does.
Right.
There's a credit inquiry that would be lodged by the provider. So that would show up on the credit report. But generally speaking, it won't have a significant impact unless the profile of that customer from a credit perspective is quite impaired, and they've been applying a lot for credit. Then adding on additional inquiries is going to not be beneficial to that borrower.
I think the key message here, from what I'm hearing you say, the subtext of what I'm hearing you say is, unless you are 100% sure that you are going to do a transaction, think twice about getting a full pre-approval.
No, it wouldn't be saying that. I would only be, and I say this to all my clients, we only lodge pre-approval if you're actually active in the market. You don't want to be, applying for pre-approval just to, have the pride of knowing that you're eligible to buy a property at that level. If you've got no intention of ever actively looking to buy, that's when we would do our own internal approval, our checks and balances, and make sure it's ticking all the boxes. And we do that a fair bit at the moment with a market that's quite active with a lot of buyers. You don't want to be waiting around for a fully assessed pre-approval. If the customer's looking at a property in the weekend, you just want to get to work to make sure it's ticking all the boxes, and they can put an offer in subject to finance, and then we go from there.
So if somebody is in the market looking and they see an opportunity they just don't want to go past, you wouldn't say to them, just wait until you get your pre-approval.
God, no.
You do what you're saying is get that sort of a rough and ready approval based on all the information they have available.
Depends how much time we've got. I mean, if there's enough time in play, and we can get all the data together. So when I say all the data, I'm talking about verification of income, pay slips, if you're self-employed, financials, tax returns, bank statements to verify expenditure, credit card statements, etc., etc. If we've got enough time to analyse and go through all that data, then the pre-approval that I guess internally I'm able to work out and obtain is to be honest with you, just as good as the bank's approval, because the bank's approval at the end of the day is just them checking off our work to make sure it all works, and that we that profiled customer that we've applied the pre-approval for actually works and meets the lender's policies.
This will be one for another day, I suspect, and that is is a pre-approval, is that sufficient for a finance approval letter for an offer and acceptance?
Yeah, we're now if the real estate agent's insisting on understanding whether that buyer has their finance pre-approved, we're now recognised as a professional industry body. We provide 60, I think it's actually more like 70% now of the volume to all the banks as far as loan writing is concerned. So the industry recognises if we do our due diligence on a borrower and we draft up a letter and sign off to, state they're eligible for finance, that it's just as good as a bank's pre-approval.
And how long does it take to get a finance pre-approval?
Depends how organised your customer is. Is the short answer.
So there's the simple ones, which are a PAYG taxpayer,
yep.
With a long steady job,
yep.
been in the same house for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
they'd be pretty quick.
Yeah, within an hour or two if it's a very basic customer.
Wow. Fully assessed pre-approval.
Not fully assessed.
No, I'm talking fully assessed.
Oh, you're talking fully assessed with the bank?
Yeah.
Well, in saying that, it depends on the provider. Without naming any banks, some banks' turnarounds are extremely good. Some don't. I guess depending on their volumes, might not cater for pre-approvals because they just don't have the capacity to be able to spend the time, effort, and energy on assessing those pre-approved deals because they might not eventuate. So, some just won't fully assess it. They'll just provide an electronic confirmation that you're eligible, and then go find a property and give us a contract of sale. Then we'll look at it properly.
Okay. Is there anything else that we should be talking about with regards to pre-approvals?
I think we covered off a fair bit. I think in conclusion, just need to engage a finance professional straight away when you're in the market to look for a property. Wouldn't get too caught up with the bank pre-approval, fully assessed side of things. If you've got enough time and you're patient and you're not going to be rushing in or you don't have a property lined up, then by all means go down the pathway of getting a fully assessed pre-approval. But otherwise, a good finance broker should be able to give you confirmation that you're good to go and put an offer in on a property. And fairly quickly, depending on the complexity of the customer, I guess. But if it's a basic customer, it should be pretty quick.
We haven't walked past any landmines here that we should be aware of? And if so, what are they?
Landmines.
Anything we haven't said about finance pre-approvals?
I feel like you've got an answer here for me.
No, I haven't. No, it's not a leading question.
Okay.
No, just have I missed anything?
Yeah, I mean, a pre-approval is a pre-approval. It's not an approval. So I guess at the end of the day, even if you are pre-approved, something can pop up, which means that you're unsuccessful. So, but looking at it in a positive lens, it's the best thing you can do.
It is the best thing you can do because at the end of the day, even when an approval, a formal approval is issued,
yes,
the formal approval is still subject to the bank's usual terms and conditions, and they can change their mind.
Yeah.
So,
formal approval can be rescinded.
Yes,
definitely can.
Yes. So, as you said, it's all part of the risk matrix.
Yes.
And you accept that. Well, the system isn't perfect. It can't be. You've just got to play with what you've got.
That's right.
Now, you mentioned about sourcing a good finance broker. Tell people, I know that you are a good one. You do
Thanks,
a lot
mate.
of business with our business, and it's all good, solid, clean business. We like dealing with you. So I want you to tell people how they can get hold of you if they want to know more.
Sure. Best forms of contact are mobile and email. Always open for a conversation. That would be the best place to get me.
Your email address?
ryant@wfb.com.au.
And if I was a professional podcaster, I'd say something clever like, I'll put all this in the show notes.
That's right. Just click on the bio.
Yeah, click on the bio. Oh, yes. Well, anyway, we'll get better at this. Ryan, this has been great.
It has. Enjoyed it.
So have I. I appreciate that you've come along and shared your wisdom, and let's hope the market just keeps on going.
Yeah, I think there's a long way to go. So
yes,
yeah, it's good. It's active. A lot happening. Busy is good.
All right. Well, until next time, this has been the WA Property Q&A. And that wraps up another episode of the WA Property Q&A. We hope you found our discussion valuable and gained some valuable insights into the world of property buying in Western Australia. Remember, while we strive to provide useful information, it's crucial to consult with the appropriate professionals before making any investment decisions. Don't forget to tune in next week for another exciting episode where we continue to unravel the mysteries of the WA property market. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, feel free to reach out to us. Until then, happy property hunting, and remember to seek the right advice for your personal circumstances. Thank you for listening.